Mohamed Salah and Eden Hazard are arguably two of the most dominant wingers the Premier League has ever seen. Whether you want to talk about amazing goals, assists, accolades, or overall legacy, these two have it all. So, what makes the debate between two great players so polarizing, and who comes out on top? Let's get right into it on today's edition of Peak for Peak. Let's begin with style and ability. In this category, it's only right that we start with Eden Hazard. Have you ever seen a ballerina on a football pitch? Well, that would be the best way to describe Eden Hazard. A player who mastered the art of making the game look beautiful. At the absolute peak of his powers, playing against Chelsea meant getting absolutely embarrassed by Eden Hazard. But there was no shame to be had because he was doing it to absolutely everybody, dominating with elegance like only he could as the best player in the Premier League. In the red corner, after a failed stint at Chelsea, Mohamed Salah entered the hyperbolic time chamber during his time at Roma and returned to Merseyside with one thing on his mind: vengeance, and the rest of the league had to pay for it. If you were to describe Salah's playing style in a few words, it would undoubtedly be ruthless efficiency. When he first burst onto the scene, he was known as a speed demon who would blow by any defender in the blink of an eye. But stints at Fiorentina and Roma polished him into the player who would become the biggest bargain in Liverpool history. What arrived at Anfield was an end product machine, with a wonder of a left foot and a desperate thirst for goals. 7 years later, the one-season wonder continues his outrageous production with no signs of stopping anytime soon. But who comes out on top here? My answer is Eden Hazard, because as electric as Salah is, his game can be scruffy at times. On the other hand, few have played the game with more elegance and footballing purity than the Chelsea number 10. How often does a player hit the highest level of his career within the first season of moving back to a league where he already once failed? It's unheard of, but that's exactly what Salah did. To put it simply, 17-18 Salah was a guaranteed goal a game. As soon as that iconic afro walked into your stadium, your defence was about to have a very long day. He would go on to score the record number of goals in a Premier League season and have a Champions League run that would have gone into the history books, if not for the dark arts of one Sergio Ramos, finishing with a staggering 44 goals and 15 assists, putting up the average Messi or Ronaldo season, which is absolutely insane for a normal human. Although there is some debate over the best Hazard season, we'll go with 2018-19, which by his own admission was his most productive. Sometimes with great players, the stat sheet doesn't quite do them justice, and this describes Hazard perfectly. But 2018-19 was the season where the magic you saw with your eyes matched up with the stat sheet, as he put down 21 goals and 17 assists across a total of 52 games. So, out of the two, who had the best career season? Objectively speaking, the case is stronger for Salah, who produced one of the most dominant seasons in Premier League history. There are only a few elite players where the moment they touch the pitch, you were almost guaranteed a goal, and that is the superstar level that Salah reached in 17-18. Now, wherever you stand on the effective stats on the game, they definitely tell a part of the story when evaluating players. And since we're looking at the best version of each player, we'll compare stats internationally and for the clubs where they performed best. Both players featured as the faces of their international teams, with Hazard being the face of Belgium's golden generation. Despite their failures as a team, Hazard himself managed to rack up 33 goals and 36 assists in 126 games, which isn't jaw-dropping but respectable. Whereas Salah has been Egypt's undisputed focal point for more than 10 years, and he has continued to do what he does best, which is pile up the numbers, with 58 goals to go with 34 assists in 103 games. This is even more impressive when you realise the second best player on that team was Mohamed El Neni. For Liverpool, Salah's numbers are quite literally incredible. He has scored a ridiculous 245 goals, and chipped in with 110 assists in just 410 games. And the crazy thing is, this number is still growing. Meanwhile, Hazard at Chelsea scored 110 goals and carved out 85 assists in 352 games, which is still an amazing career, but if we're talking numbers, there's only one winner here. Moving on, as harsh as it may sound, you can't really be considered a footballing great without trophies and accolades. But luckily for us, these two players make the cut. Hazard's PFA Player of the Year award came during his 2014-15 season when he won his first Premier League, and he would go back-to-back to win another league title in the 16-17 season. His other trophies at Chelsea include 2 Europa Leagues, an FA Cup and a Carabao Cup. Rounding off his personal accolades, impressive performances earned him Premier League Player of the Year award as well as 2 FIFA World 11 appearances. Going over to Merseyside, Salah's arrival at Liverpool marked the start of a defining era in the club's history, where he would be an integral contributor to Liverpool winning the Champions League in his second season, as well as their first Premier League title in 30 years, with another coming up shortly in 2025. He would also scoop up a FIFA Club World Cup, 2 Carabao Cups, and an FA Cup along the way. Liverpool's success would also see Salah stack his personal accolades. These would include 2 Premier League Player of the Year awards, 3 Golden Boots, a Playmaker of the Year award, a Charity Puskas, and top 3 finishes for FIFA Men's Player of the Year in 2018 and 2021. 2 big trophy cabinets, 2 impressive resumes, but who comes out on top? My vote just about goes to Salah. Their trophy cabinets seem quite even, but Salah's personal accolades take him over the top by a fine margin. Concluding this episode of Peak for Peak, when it came down to style and ability, Hazard came out on top. But when comparing best seasons, stats, trophies and accolades, Salah makes a clean sweep, which means the winner of this edition of Peak for Peak is the one and only Egyptian King.